Puja Swamiji always says, enlightenment simply means living in the light. He says it's not that suddenly you grow horns and you look different, or that suddenly the shape of you changes. It's the difference between living in darkness and living in light. There's a beautiful story of a seeker who hears about this great master, who's a Buddhist master. He heard about this great Buddhist master, and he was the one, from everything this man had found, was going to be the one who would give him the right teachings to attain enlightenment. The man was Buddhist, and so naturally he was going to a Buddhist leader. And he finally reaches the hermitage where this monk was living. And he knocks on the door, and there's no answer. He goes around the side, doesn't see anything. And finally he hears a little something coming around one of the sides. So he slowly, because of course he doesn't know where they're going to be, wild animals, maybe he has dogs, maybe there's people, you don't tend to just walk into somebody's home area until you've been invited. But nobody's answering at the door. So he walks around to where he hears the sound. And in the back of the little hermitage is a man, and he's chopping firewood. And so the seeker says, I'm looking for, and he gives the name of the saint he's looking for. And the man chopping the firewood says, yes, that is what they call me. And the seeker was amazed. This enlightened master, who's going to be the one who gives him enlightenment here, he's just chopping firewood. And he says to him, but I thought you were this great enlightened master. Master's quiet, but yes, clearly he's the enlightened master. The man says, so what did you used to do before you were this great enlightened master? And he says, well, I used to chop firewood, make a fire, cook some food. And the seeker says, well, but now that you're enlightened, what are you doing? He says, well, I'm chopping some firewood to make a fire and cook some food. And the seeker can't believe it. But, well, enlightenment, like everything is supposed to change. And he says, so what's the point of enlightenment if you were chopping wood before and you're chopping wood now? And the sage says, the wood is the same, the chopping is the same, but he who chops is not the same. And this is what enlightenment is about. It's not, oh, I become enlightened. A lot of people have this misconception that somehow spiritual enlightenment, spiritual progress is synonymous with having everything go right in your life. That somehow if I were enlightened, I would get everything that I wanted. No, rather I would want everything I got. It's not a magic wand. It's not when I'm enlightened I'll be able to get whatever I want. This job, this money, this husband or wife or child or whatever I may want. Enlightenment is not the magic wand to get whatever you want, but it does make you want whatever you have. And that's a really important distinction, because life is still life. There's still wood to be chopped, there's still fires to be made, there's still food to be cooked, lawns to be mowed. All of this is still what life is made of, traffic to be sat in. The things of life stay the same. But rather than going through the things of life in darkness, you go through them in light. And so rather than being attached, we spoke last night about attachment, rather than being attached to how this works out or how that works out or how you behave, how you speak to me, rather than that, I move through in light, meaning I can see. I can actually see the truth of who I am, which is consciousness, divinity, wholeness, fullness, love, awareness. Whatever we call it, that's who we are. So enlightenment makes us know who we are. And when we know who we are, moving through the world becomes much less complicated. We may still do a lot of the same things. We still chop the wood, make the fire, cook the food, draw the water, wash the dishes, mow the lawn. Enlightenment doesn't mean that out of the sky suddenly 30 people fall to be your servants. Enlightenment is that as I'm doing those things, there is light. That instead of being the one chopping the firewood or lighting the fire or cooking the food or doing the dishes thinking, why am I always the one doing this? That's not fair. Why doesn't she ever do her part? Why doesn't he ever do his part? This isn't fair. Why does my brother have 10 servants and I don't have any? Instead of thinking like that in the darkness, I'm still doing the tasks, but I'm doing them in light. I'm doing them in peace. I'm doing them connected to divinity, connected to joy, connected to my fullness. So there's nothing less about doing the dishes. Normally we think, oh, this isn't fair. I'd rather be doing this. I'd rather be doing that. Why isn't this person holding up their end of the bargain? Why am I always the one? Our lives are rooted in this complaining, this comparing, this criticizing. And all of the comparing and complaining and criticizing comes out of one myth. And it's what we call the myth of scarcity. The myth of scarcity says there isn't enough. Whether it's there's not enough time, so these stupid dishes keep me from being able to watch the show I want to watch, or listen to the music I want to listen to, or read the book I want to read, or go out with the friends I want to see. So myth of scarcity, we think there's not enough time. We also tend to think there's not enough success. Another myth of scarcity. So if you think honestly, when a friend or a colleague or someone has a success, we should be really happy for them. We would like to be happy for them. The part of us that knows values and dharma knows we should be happy for them. But we're not, if we're honest with ourselves. On some internal level, there's actually a part of us that goes, ugh. Somebody got married, they had a kid, they got a new house, they got a great job, whatever it was. We should be really happy, except the dilemma is there is this myth of scarcity. It's not that I actually wanted that job or that husband or that house, but in this illusion, in this darkness that we live in, there's somehow a finite pie of success or pie of happiness. And if someone else has just gotten a really big piece, there's less of it for me. And when someone else goes through trouble, they got fired, they didn't get a promotion, there's this part of us that feels happy. And if we're spiritual people, we hate that part of us. Think you shouldn't think like that, and we shouldn't. But as long as we live in this myth of scarcity, we will, because if someone else has lost something or failed, it's like, more pie for me. That success pie, that happiness pie is bigger. And this is that darkness. And so enlightenment frees us of all of that nonsense, all of that darkness that says there isn't enough. You are finite. You are this body. You are your roles. You are how much happiness you can accumulate and acquire, ideally in packages. That's the darkness. The light says, you are divine. You are divine flowing through this particular form, and you're divine flowing through that form, and you're divine flowing through this form and that form. But we're each just a different wave on the ocean of divinity. Nobody's taking from anybody. We all are full. There's enough. There's more than enough. We already are full. I don't need anything from your pie of success or pie of happiness. And so enlightenment actually is the answer to how to live in the world successfully, joyfully, peacefully. And so think about it not as this far off, absolutely unattainable goal that I could only do if, I had come out of the womb pure and perfect and divine, and I spent 30 years living a cave in the Himalayas, fasting and abstaining from everything. And if I didn't do that, well, then it's over this life. Maybe better luck next life. Don't think like that. Think simply. What darkness am I living in? Where's the darkness in me? Is there jealousy? Is there anger? Are there grudges? Are there unfulfilled expectations that make me feel frustrated? Do I feel like there's a pie out there of success, of happiness, and that I'm not getting my big enough piece? And other people are getting more than I am, and it's not fair? Do I want a bigger piece of that pie that I'm getting? These are not bad. There's nothing wrong with you. Because that's yet another darkness, is that our mind says, oh my God, look at this. Now you're also in the darkness. Now it's not bad enough that you just have a little jealousy or anger. Actually, now look at this. She said you are living in darkness. Darkness of ignorance, which is very different from darkness of badness. This is not a darkness that says you're bad or you're wrong or there's anything wrong with you. It simply says you can't see. If the lights go out, and I stand up and trip over this table and knock the glass of water on the floor, it's not because I'm bad. It's not even because I'm clumsy. It's just because I couldn't see. Lights were out, it was dark. Forgot the table was there. The answer to tripping over tables is to turn on the light. It's much easier to navigate the room when the lights are on. It's much easier to navigate our lives when the lights are on. And so when we're living in this place where we can't see, and we can't see the fullness of who we are, we can't see the divinity of who we are, and our society just keeps saying, you are what you look like, you are the color of your skin, you are how much you weigh, you are how much money you make. It's like being blind and having someone tell you the sky is, purple. Well, if you've never seen it, you don't even know what purple is, and someone says the sky is purple. Okay, so it is. Then someone asks you what color is the sky, you say purple. Because you can't see, and that's what people tell you. And of course the answer is not to find all those people telling you wrong things, because they're not doing it on purpose. They honestly think sky is purple. The answer is to figure out how to be able to see, so that we can know for ourselves. And this is the path to enlightenment. How can I see? How can I get the lights on in my life so I can see? And that's what enlightenment is. And this is where our spiritual practice, this is the meditation we do, the yoga we do, the breath work we do, the service work that we do, the seva, the learning that we do, all of what we do that is part of our spiritual practice, karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, all of these things. We pray, we chant, we serve, we meditate. We do all of these things because this is the path that we walk to enlightenment. So don't think of it as something very far away. Think of it as just a light switch away.